You've seen it all. You've seen all types of weapons. You've been around them as part of your job. But, a lot of people in upstate New York are concerned about some of these regulations.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm certainly not. And I think we need a lot more regulations. But there are people in your district, I know, that have issue with that. How do you deal with their concerns when them, yelling at you that you want to take away their guns? Do they do that?
That does come up. And until
have you taken anybody's guns yet, Stephen?
No. and I don't plan on it. So, but you're right. That is a big issue up here. And that oftentimes is a differentiator. And it's something that they automatically, when they see the D behind my name, they want to turn it off.
Right. Until
I tell my story, which Pete, you alluded to. I've grown up around weapons my whole life. I took an oath to defend the Constitution. I know it's something that, I mentioned a good bit, but that means to the entire Constitution. So law-abiding citizens should have the right to own guns, but we have to have common sense gun regulation. That the duty to protect the population is also in the Constitution. It's right there. So if you're in Congress or you're the president, you're required to do that. So what we have to have is common sense gun reform. People often forget that 90%, this is a 90-10 issue, that most Republicans, gun owners, and members of the NRA want common sense gun reform.
Right.
And so people have to understand the difference between a gun sale and a gun transfer. My grandfather giving me my first gun when I was 17 is different than going out and making a purchase at a gun sale, at a gun show. So people have to understand that. And the right to own guns doesn't mean every type of gun out there. And so we have to define what that is.
I still don't like even the transfer thing, where if you're going to transfer a gun, from this case, your dad or your grandfather to you, you still have to go get licensed. You still have to take a course. I grew up right there. I went to right near where you live is where I went to get my boater driver's registration. I had to take a damn course like every week for an hour, like 6 weeks at West Genesee High School, which I didn't want to ever step foot in because they were a rival and, they looked down upon us. And yet there I was getting registered to learn how to drive a boat so I could drive a boat. Yet that is not required if you want to own a gun. So it's one thing to talk about how you acquire a gun. I think it's another thing to know that you know how to use the gun. But I'm going to stop ranting at you. Sorry.
No, Pete, you're right. I mean, people often talk about different types of guns. And when I was in the military, before that thing was handed to you or issued, you had to how to clean it, use it, respect it, not just wave the thing around at people. Had to understand the different parts of it and to get qualified on. So basically, like you're talking about, this is the military's way to license you to have it. You had your own gun card your weapons card that you would have to issue to get the gun out. So I fully believe that we need to have gun education out there, and people have to be certified on it. So no, I think that's something that should be good logical reform. It's just that when people start talking about it, they'll go off to an extreme.
Yeah.
And I think, that's just kind of the way that the issue is out here. And I'll tell you that I'm getting good feedback from folks on it. And the fact that I am a veteran and grew up in rural America kind of gives me a little different credence to it than it would with the average Democrat going out here talking about the issue.